for all the fans of Page Industries, well, it's Lux which has outperformed the underclothes pack this year. The question mark only is whether the fundamentals are too strong as compared to the peers. Have Lux's valuations run way ahead of the fundamentals? And what about the others? It's not just about Lux, is it? Agam Vakil has put together a comparison. Agam, good morning.
Good morning, Neeraj. It's a little bit like a celebrity wars, but the reason why Lux came into my radar right now was because of the outperformance that you've seen on a year-to-date basis. And I was really curious about the dynamics of the industry, the fundamentals about what's going on, and how does Lux stack up against several of its other, big players and big peers. So as you can see here on a year-to-date basis, it's certainly outperformed, a lot of its other peers by quite a mile on a year-to-date basis. Of course, the largest player in the industry right now is Page Industries, and it is also the premium player, but I'm going to talk about that a little later on. Let's take a look at how these companies have done in terms of your performances, and as you can see, Page Industries clearly is leading in terms of revenues. It has the largest revenues. It has substantial operating margins, much higher than some of the other guys like Lux, Rupa, as well as Dollar Industries. And similarly, when it comes to the top line growth over the past 3 years, once again, it has surpassed all these three players. All right. So based on this, something clearly has changed for Lux Industries to come in and see that outperformance, even in compared to something like a Page Industries. So let's bring up a few factors that are changing things for Lux Industries. The first one, and perhaps the most important one, is that they have started to focus on your premium segment. Page Industries, of course, is into the premium area through Jockey, and that's the reason why Lux is also starting to shift, and perhaps a lot of investors are starting to see value in that, and that's the reason why we're seeing that up move in Lux. Of course, moving in, when we consider the way we've seen your growth story come through, the entire industry is expected to grow anywhere between 23 to 31% according to various brokerages. So Lux, of course, will have that advantage playing out. Now, in terms of returns and its valuations too, Page Industries naturally currently enjoys that premium in terms of your EV to EBITDA, or for that matter, your price to earnings ratio, because of your high return on equity. That is not the case for Lux Industries, but Lux Industries certainly doing much better than Rupa and Company as well as Dollar Industries, despite the fact that a lot of its other variables are comparable to Lux Industries. So Lux is right in the middle of this particular sector. That said, there is coming down to your ownership. Why Page Industries stood out for me, and while it perhaps also enjoys a certain scarcity premium, is that while 49% for Page Industries is owned by promoters, another near 36%, along with another 5%, is with institutions, which means only 10% of Page Industries is with the public, that is the non-institutions and non-promoters. And that's the reason why we really don't have too much in terms of Page Industries that's out there in the markets in terms of free float. Of course, Lux Industries, it's not too far behind, still 74% owned by promoters, but when it comes to institutional ownership, is not that high. When it comes to something like Rupa and Company and Dollar Industries, of course, these things vary, but Rupa Industries again has that promoter holding of 73%, not unlike Lux Industries. So it's quite clear from here that Page Industries also enjoys that scarcity premium coming through this. And don't forget, we have already gone through a lot of these variables which are far superior in compared to the other three guys. So moving in, there are a few questions that I'm asking. Can Lux shift its product mix enough to match the high margins that Page Industries is enjoying right now? The second question is that when it comes to Lux Industries and Rupa and Company, the valuations right now are not matching. So can we expect then Lux to correct to a certain extent, at least in the near term? And the final one is on Dollar Industries. Will that manage to move up in terms of premiumization so as to match some of its other peers? And these are the questions and these are the answers that will eventually emerge over the next perhaps the next couple of quarters or perhaps next 1 year. But for now, these are some of the variables that have pushed Lux higher, and also a reason why Page Industries actually enjoys that premium in comparison to several other players.
Yeah, well, Agam, thanks for putting that into perspective. Clearly, this year has belonged to Lux Industries. But Page, by no means something to scoff at. You know, Agam put all of those numbers into perspective. Viewers, remember, if you look at the last decade, Page Industries' earnings have compounded 32% CAGR. 32% CAGR for the last 10 years is nothing to scoff at, which is why these premium multiples for Page Industries. But Lux this year has clearly been the winner. Bit of a catch-up out there. Agam, thanks for putting all of that into perspective.